Good morning. It is a great pleasure to have you here, Jose Manuel, Vice President of Engineering at General Dynamics European Land Systems, and our keynote speaker in this first European workshop on project-based learning. Thanks again for the wonderful speech.
You're welcome. Happy to be here.
That's very kind of you. Jose Manuel, there are a few things that I would like you to expand on. And the first one would be, how do you see the relationship between industry and academia?
Okay, from my experience, academia has kind of three functions. The first one would be teaching, then the investigation, and finally the transfer of knowledge into society. I understand that in any one of these three aspects, the collaboration between industry and academia is very important. In the first one, in teaching, the earlier the academia and the industry engage together, the best for the engineers that will come out of this academia. The engineer has to face the environment he's going to find in the professional world. And the sooner this engagement happens, the better fit for the purpose this engineer will be. In the second one, in investigation is clear. We can develop common project, either funded by industry and academia or even by government, when the investigation project with PhD can be done and developed for a specific application in industry. And finally, in the third aspect, in the transfer of knowledge into society, the best vehicle are the very good, talented engineers that will flow from the academy into the industry. And again, the earlier this engagement happens between industry and academia, the better fit for the purpose those engineers will be in the future.
We see it exactly the same way. And the question we have, and this is the second question I'd like to share with you, is how do you see the engineer of the future?
The engineer of the future. Alberto, my personal thoughts about this is that engineer is a way of living. It's more than an education or even a profession. I have tried to apply engineering to every aspect, every field in my life. An engineer has the ability to approach a situation free of prejudices, based in the analysis of data and making decisions based on facts. And these skills that are developed in the education phase and later in the professional development, these skills are timeless. This will be always there. I take that there is a lot of new development. We have the cloud, we have the big data, we have phenomenal calculations, tools and simulations, computers there. I take that, but these are only tools. If we have this skill, as I said before, like lack of prejudices when approaching a situation, base the decision on facts and analyzing the data, my opinion is that the engineer of the future is like the engineer of the past or the present times, but with a better toolkit.
That's a very good point. But then we have a serious problem, because you know that the students spend a limited time with us, and the same way you have to take difficult decisions at the company in your designs or the different efforts that you undertake. We have to make a decision. How do we organize the time we have the students here with us? So how do you see we should strike a balance between giving them a good theoretical foundation and also sharing with them all the practical side, all the applications? How can we balance these two aspects?
Okay, that's in principle there is no contradiction, and the question is very well posed. There is no contradiction between rigorous academic education and practical application. There is a combination and a balance to be found in these two aspects. First of all, there is a number of skills that the conversation or the workshop you're having today here in project-based learning can help a lot. Is what I call super skills, are a skill beyond the pure technical knowledge. I'm talking about the ability to work in groups for an engineer, the ability of having the message get through an audience, to communicating messages to different level of interlocution, leadership skills. All this that, again, project-based learning can help a lot, is something that engineers, from my opinion, lack when they get into the industry. On the other side, we have the traditional hard skill, is the strong technical knowledge. You can skip that. I mean, when you work for a company that, as my company, a technical company, that is always seeking for the excellence in process and product, the tiny difference makes the difference in your business, you need really professionals, very well educated and with solid knowledge in the frontiers of technology. You need that. There are some educators that say we don't need to have a solid background in mathematical or physical because the data is there. Just search and found in the cloud. I can't get along with that because this is a burden for the innovation. Innovation is in any technological agenda company. And the innovation doesn't come out of the blue. The innovation comes when you have a deep knowledge in several ideas and you elaborate on this idea and have a new one. So in order to make this a step of innovation, you need to have a very good set of ideas in your brain. And if you need to go and search for the data in every step of the innovation, as you go, it interrupts the innovation itself. So this solid knowledge is mandatory for an engineer. So again, if you have these super skills, as I said before, and the deep technical data, and a combination of that together in one individual, that is a best in class.
That's very interesting because you have addressed a lot of technical issues, but you have mentioned a couple of times the word business.
Yeah.
Here we have at our Polytechnic school students, and we try to teach them exactly the way you're mentioning, but you work for a private company, which is a for-profit organization. We also happen to be a private university. We also seek the making of a profit through what we do. And here is then the next question. To what extent should technical students be also familiar with the business environment and the business language?
Okay, that's a very good point because it's kind of a struggle, daily struggle that we have in technical companies. Engineers, as they leave university, they seek for excellence. And this is a legitimate thing to do. Every individual must aspire for excellence in any category, anytime. And that's legitimate. So the engineer always wants to deliver an excellent product. But excellence has many sides. It's not a one-way lane. And here comes the tricks. For a company, excellence is very clear, is creating value for their shareholders. And this is not in contradiction with generating an excellent product. The only thing I'm saying is that the engineer has to learn that cost, schedule, or meeting the customer specifications is another design constraint that has to be taken into consideration into the equation. So delivering an excellent product, that brings a question to my brain. What is the best product? The best product is that one that you can sell. And this is not in contradiction with excelling in your performance.
That's a very good point. We definitely need to keep that in mind. So we always say that technology advances very rapidly, and some of the things that people learn in class, unfortunately, or perhaps not, but the true fact is that sooner or later they are going to be obsolete. Everything that we teach them, or most of the things, have an expiration date. To what extent is then necessary lifelong learning? Can people afford to graduate, leave university, join a company, and remain there without undertaking any further studies? Or how do you see that? Is it necessary for them to, from time to time, refresh, update their skills, maybe not taking full programs, but short courses perhaps in order to remain updated in their fields?
That's definitely a very good point. I always like to say that learning is the best state to be. We like to be learning constantly. And lifelong learning can be sometimes an attitude, because you have to have this self-motivation to learn and to thrive in your professional career. You have to come back to university to make an extra course. It's something has to be handled as well from the perspective of the industry. So we have to have career plans for our engineers, and we always try to keep them in the top technologies and the tools that they need to develop their their jobs. But there is a point here. Lifelong learning is not an option, it's an obligation. In today's changing environment, lifelong learning is something that is not optional. And lifelong learners, if I may call that terminology, lifelong learners, if they constantly seek for the limit of technology, they will be in better shape to face the changing environment we are currently in.
That's very interesting. Maybe we could also say that it is also mandatory today to learn how to work in a complex sociocultural environment. Today we live in this global world. We have customers from all over the place, and we have long supply chains with stakeholders also from different nationalities and different backgrounds. So I guess we would agree that it is also necessary to learn how to deal with this sociocultural diversity. Mm-hmm. To what extent do you think that learning with this methodology, project-based learning, also enables people not just to understand the theory, but to be able to work with other people, and especially people from other environments?
Okay, diversity is diverse itself. There are many phases of diversity, and definitely project-based learning is a methodology that can help in this, because the first thing that an engineer faces when it lands into a professional environment, and I will talk, for instance, about my situation in General Dynamics. We have engineers for over 10 nationalities. We speak 4 languages, and engineer has to learn to work in a multidisciplinary world with different cultures, different languages, different ages. I mean, we have long careers in my company. Probably we have 4, even 5 generations of engineers, different teaching techniques, way of thinking. I'm not talking even about gender, but there is an enormous diversity in diversity itself. Definitely project-based learning may help the engineers to start working in groups and working with different discipline and functional areas in earlier stages, and this definitely will help to have them better prepared for the future.
So, many thanks, Jose Manuel, for sharing your experience and your views with us, very enriching for us. As always, a pleasure to see you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.